The scientific trick to turning off your overthinking brain. Have you ever felt like your brain has a switch that just gets stuck in the on position? A switch that makes you replay every mistake, analyze every awkward conversation, and worry about 1,000 different futures that will probably never happen. For years, I felt like my mind was a runaway train, and I was just a passenger, helplessly watching my own life blur past. I've been there. But what if I told you that this isn't just a feeling? What if I told you that science has actually found the part of our brain that acts like this overthinking switch? It's a specific network of brain regions called the default mode network. And for people like us, it's pretty much stuck in overdrive. When I learned this, a crazy idea sparked in my mind. If science could find the switch, could I learn to manually turn it off? Could I, with a targeted mental exercise, quiet this network and find some real mental clarity? In this video, I'm putting that science to the test. I'm going to try and manually deactivate my own overthinking brain, and you're coming with me to see what happens. Section 1. The brain's autopilot and why it's hijacking your mind. So what exactly is this overthinking switch? It's called the default mode network, or DMN for short. Think of it as your brain's autopilot. It's a collection of brain areas that fire up whenever you aren't focused on a specific task in the outside world. It's what's running when you're daydreaming, remembering something, or planning for the future. Basically, when your mind is at rest, the DMN takes the controls. Now this sounds useful, and it is. This network helps us build our sense of self, process our memories, and even fuels creativity by mashing different ideas together. It's the engine of our inner world. The problem starts when this autopilot system doesn't just kick in during our downtime, but actively hijacks our attention. For those of us who call ourselves overthinkers, our DMN isn't some gentle hum in the background. It's a loud, relentless narrator that never leaves the room. This is where overthinking, rumination, and anxiety live. An overactive DMN is directly linked to endlessly replaying past regrets and worrying about the future. It's the neurological reason we get stuck in our own heads. In fact, studies show that conditions like depression and anxiety often involve a DMN that just won't quiet down, even when you're trying to focus. It's like trying to have a conversation at a party while someone is shouting in your ear the entire time. That shouting? That's your overactive DMN. But here's the crucial part, the discovery that sent me down this rabbit hole. The DMN has an opposite. It's often called the task-positive network, or more accurately, the executive control network. This is the network that engages when you're focused on a task in the outside world. Here's the kicker. When the executive network is on, the default mode network is supposed to turn off. They work in opposition to each other. So the science backs this up. Activities that demand our focused, external attention can effectively suppress the overthinking network. And one of the most powerful tools for this? Focused meditation. The hypothesis became crystal clear. If I could intentionally and intensely engage my brain's focus network, I could theoretically force the overthinking network to power down. Section 2. The experiment, my attempt to deactivate my brain. So the experiment was simple. For 7 straight days, I'd dedicate 20 minutes each morning to a focused attention meditation. The goal wasn't just to clear my mind in some vague, fuzzy way. The goal was tactical, to deactivate my default mode network. The technique itself is almost laughably simple. You pick a single sensory anchor in the present moment. I chose the physical sensation of my breath entering and leaving my nostrils. The whole job for 20 minutes is just to keep the spotlight of your attention fixed on that one tiny spot. Day 1 was a complete disaster. It was less like a serene meditation and more like a mental wrestling match. I'd focus on my breath for maybe 2 seconds before the DMN would kick the door down. Did you email that client? Why did you say that weird thing yesterday? You're failing at this. Of course, you're failing at meditation too. The chatter was nonstop. My mind didn't just wander, it stampeded. Every time I noticed my attention was gone, I would gently but firmly guide it back to my breath. It was exhausting. I finished the 20 minutes feeling even more wound up than when I started. Days 2 and 3 were more of the same. That inner monologue was relentless, and I started getting really skeptical. How could just focusing on my breath possibly win against this deeply ingrained habit of overthinking? It felt like trying to hold back a tidal wave with a beach pail. My DMN was a powerful, well-practiced beast, and my focus muscle felt pathetically weak in comparison. It became obvious this network wasn't just some background process. It was the dominant force in my head. Then, on day 4, something shifted. It wasn't dramatic. No flashes of light, no sudden epiphanies. It was subtle. I was mid-spiral about a project deadline when I guided my attention back to my breath. And for a moment, maybe 5 or 6 seconds, there was silence. It wasn't an empty silence. It was just presence. For those few seconds, I wasn't thinking about my breath. I simply was the sensation of breathing. There was no past, no future, no me judging the experience. Just the cool air coming in and the warm air going out. And then just as quickly, the thoughts rushed back in. But something had changed. I had proof of concept. I'd found the off switch. It was rusty and stiff, but it was there. That brief experience became my new motivation. Over the next 3 days, those pockets of silence started to get longer. 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a full minute of uninterrupted focus. The feeling was profound. It wasn't a state of being zoned out. It was the exact opposite. It was being incredibly zoned in, the mental energy that was previously being eaten up by the DMN's constant churning. And it's a huge energy consumer, accounting for a massive chunk of the brain's resources at rest, was now available. The world just felt sharper, clearer. I realized the goal isn't to kill the default mode network. You can't, and you wouldn't want to. The goal is to build the skill of consciously disengaging from it. It's about going from being a passenger on the runaway train to being the conductor who knows how to use the brakes. Section 3. The How-To. A practical guide to turning off your overthinking brain. So how can you try this yourself? How can you start training your brain to quiet that overthinking network? Here's the exact no-frills technique I used. I call it anchor and return. Step 1. Choose your anchor. Your anchor is a single point of sensory focus in the present moment. The key is to pick something physical, not a thought. The sensation of your breath is a classic for a reason. It works. You can focus on the feeling of air at the tip of your nose or the rise and fall of your chest. Other options are the sounds around you, or even just the feeling of your feet on the floor. Pick one and stick with it for the session. Step 2. Set a timer and begin. Start small. Seriously, don't try to be a meditation hero on day 1. Begin with just 5 or 10 minutes. Consistency is so much more important than duration. Sit comfortably, close your eyes if you want, and bring your full attention to your anchor. Your only job is to observe the raw data of this anchor. If it's your breath, don't control it. Just notice it. Is it cool? Warm? Is it a strong sensation or a faint one? Just get curious. Step 3. The return. This is the most important part. Within seconds, your default mode network will do its thing. It will generate a thought and steal your attention. You'll suddenly find yourself planning dinner, replaying a conversation, or worrying. The moment you notice this has happened, that instant you realize you're lost in thought and not on your anchor. That is the moment of victory. That's the magic right there. You've woken up. Don't get frustrated or judge yourself. That's just the DMN trying to pull you back into another thought loop about how you're bad at this. Simply acknowledge, "Oh, my mind wandered," and then gently but firmly escort your attention right back to your anchor. That's it. That is the entire exercise. Every single time your mind wanders and you bring it back, you are doing one rep at the mental gym. You're strengthening your focus network and in turn, dialing down the automatic, unchecked power of your overthinking network. Each return is you practicing how to use that off switch. I'm really curious to know, what does overthinking feel like for you? What are the thought loops your mind gets stuck in? Share your experience in the comments below. Reading them not only helps me, but it shows everyone else watching that they are absolutely not alone in this. Conclusion. After 7 days, I didn't magically cure myself of overthinking forever. That's just not how the brain works. But my relationship with my own thoughts has completely changed. Before this, I was fused with my DMN. Its story was my reality. Now I can see it for what it is, a pattern of activity in my brain, a pattern I can actually influence. I've learned to recognize when that runaway train has taken off, and now I have a tool, a proven scientific method, to get back in the driver's seat. That feeling of pure mental clarity, even if it just lasts for a minute during meditation, is a powerful reminder of what's possible. It's a baseline of peace I know I can return to. Overthinking isn't a personality trait you're stuck with. It's a mental habit, driven by a specific neural network. And like any habit, it can be retrained with practice. It's not about fighting your mind. It's about training it. It's about learning to be the conductor of your own consciousness, not just a helpless passenger. So if you feel trapped on that train of thought, know this: you have the brakes. You just have to practice using them. If this little exploration of the mind was helpful, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. We're always exploring the science behind how to live better, more intentional lives. Thanks for joining me on this. Now go find your anchor